October arrives, and with it, the first sign of the Russian winter. The air grows colder, the nights longer, and the sky feels distant and heavy. For Napoleon and his army, the cold is a change that starts subtly, but soon transforms into a constant, cruel threat. As they advance, they'll soon realize that the true enemy is not the Russians, but the very climate of Russia. The first impact of the winter is felt in the small details. The soldiers' hands tremble as they grip their weapons. Their lips crack, and each breath turns into clouds of vapor that quickly vanish in the cold air. A thin layer of snow starts to cover the ground, and moving forward becomes increasingly difficult. The cold seeps into their bones, and each night feels longer than the last. As the days pass, the cold gives no respite. On the contrary, it intensifies. Their clothes are insufficient to keep the soldiers warm, and many begin to suffer from hunger. Supplies, already scarce, cannot meet the army's growing need. Every piece of bread, every drop of water becomes a treasure. Soldiers share crumbs and try to warm themselves with whatever they have, but they know the worst is still to come. Temperatures plummet drastically, and the cold becomes unbearable. Hands freeze, feet go numb, and many soldiers start to suffer from frostbite. Ears and toes darken, and in severe cases they must be amputated. The physical suffering is indescribable, and for many, every step forward is torture. They march, but pain becomes a constant companion. It's not just the body that suffers, the mind begins to break as well. The hope that once motivated the soldiers is now a distant memory. They look around and see only snow, ice-covered trees, and the dark sky. Many begin to question why they are there, why they marched so far, and if they will ever see their families again. The cold doesn't only destroy the body, it also crushes the soul of each man. Napoleon observes the situation and realizes that his army is on the verge of collapse. He, who had always trusted in his leadership and the strength of his Grande Armée, now watches as his troops succumb to an invisible and relentless enemy. With each passing day, he loses more men to the cold than to any battle. And he understands that if he continues advancing, he risks losing everything. Determined not to give up, Napoleon tries to inspire his men. He walks through the ranks, speaks to the soldiers, promises that their sacrifices will be rewarded. But he knows his words are losing their power. The cold is relentless, and no speech can warm the body of a soldier already at his limit. Each soldier knows that, to survive, they'll need more than words, they'll need miracles. Many soldiers simply can't hold on. They stop, sit in the snow, and close their eyes, waiting for the end. For these men, the march has become meaningless torture, and the will to survive fades along with the warmth in their bodies. The snow covers the bodies of those who cannot go on, and every soldier who passes them understands that death is always lurking nearby. The cold doesn't just destroy the soldiers, it destroys the organization. Units scatter, formations disintegrate, and many soldiers get lost in the snow. Without a clear chain of command, the army becomes a mass of men marching without direction. The once proud ranks of the Grande Armée now resemble a disordered group of survivors, and the discipline that once defined them is now just a memory. The hunger becomes unbearable, and the soldiers begin to eat anything they find: tree bark, roots, even the leather of their own boots. Many fall ill, but the need to survive is stronger than any fear. They are willing to do anything to keep moving, but the price of this resilience is high. Each day, every improvised meal is a fight against their own bodies. The vast, snow-covered plains create a deep feeling of isolation. Each soldier feels small and alone amidst the endless white that surrounds them. They march, but it's as if they're trapped in a frozen desert where each step leads nowhere. The sense of loneliness and abandonment consumes each man, and morale plummets even further. The soldiers try to warm themselves by improvised fires, but the cold is so intense that the flames seem weak and useless. They gather around the fire, but the warmth is fleeting, unable to combat the relentless winter. They look at the flames as if they were their last hope, but soon realize that even the fire is on winter's side. Each day, death becomes a constant presence. They see comrades fall, freeze, and move on, knowing they might be next. For many, death no longer brings fear, but rather a strange sense of relief. The idea of rest, of finally escaping the suffering, becomes a temptation. And for those who remain alive, each fallen body is a cruel reminder of their own fragility. The landscape around them is desolate. Trees covered in ice, icicles hanging from branches, and snow that seems endless. There are no colors, only the white of the snow and the gray of the sky. It's as if nature itself is challenging the survival of Napoleon's army. Each soldier feels he is in a place where life is unwelcome, where everything conspires against them. And so, faced with the relentless winter, Napoleon is left with a terrible choice: to continue and risk losing everything, or to retreat and try to save what remains of his grand army. In the next chapter, we'll witness the painful retreat, the desperate struggle to return home, and how this winter would mark the end of an era. Don't miss it.